The worst part about being underestimated isn't the disrespect. It's watching people congratulate themselves for being so much smarter than you. That's what I thought as I watched my boss, Derek Wilson, strut around the conference room, preparing to land what he called the biggest client in company history. My name is Sophia Chen, and for the past 3 years, I've been a senior software engineer at TechCore Solutions, enduring endless condescension while quietly building something that would change the entire industry. Not that anyone at TechCore knew that. To them, I was just the quiet coder who needed to focus more on meaningful work. It all started 4 years ago when I noticed a fundamental flaw in how cloud security systems handled quantum computing threats. Everyone was so focused on building bigger walls that they missed the obvious solution: a dynamic architecture that could adapt and evolve faster than any quantum attack. I took the idea to Derek first, back when I still believed in the corporate ladder. Quantum computing threats? He'd scoffed, barely looking up from his phone. That's decades away from being relevant, Sophia. Focus on the projects that actually make us money. So I did, during office hours, but every night, every weekend, every vacation day, I worked on my solution. I called it Quantum Shield, and it became my obsession. I sold my condo, moved into a tiny apartment, and invested everything I had into development. My sister Maya thought I was crazy. "You're working 2 full-time jobs and living like a college student," she'd say during our weekly calls. "At least tell me what you're building." But I couldn't. The technology was too valuable, too revolutionary. Instead of seeking investors or partners, I kept everything under wraps, operating through a maze of shell companies and anonymous entities. The only person who knew the truth was my lawyer, James Wong, who helped me patent and protect everything. "This is unprecedented," he'd said, reviewing the final documentation. "You've basically solved the quantum security crisis before most people even realize it exists." I launched Quantum Shield quietly through a company called Nova Quantum Solutions. No publicity, no marketing, just discreet meetings with major tech firms who quickly recognized its potential. Within 6 months, we had contracts with 3 of the largest cloud providers in Asia. Within a year, European banks were lining up. All while I kept showing up at TechCore, enduring Derek's endless criticism and mentoring. "You need to be more aggressive, Sophia," he'd say in my performance reviews. "More innovative. Where's your leadership potential?" I sat through countless meetings watching him take credit for my ideas, promote less qualified men over me, and dismiss my suggestions about modernizing our security infrastructure. "When you've been in this industry as long as I have," he'd say, "you'll understand how things really work." The irony was almost worth the humiliation. Almost. Everything changed last month when Derek called an all-hands meeting to announce TechCore's biggest opportunity yet. "We've been chosen to implement security infrastructure for Global Tech's new quantum computing initiative," he'd announced proudly. "This is a $100 million contract, people. This will put us on the map." My heart stopped. Global Tech was one of the world's leading quantum computing companies. They were also in final negotiations to license Quantum Shield technology. In fact, I had a meeting with their CTO scheduled for next week. As the CEO of Nova Quantum Solutions, Derek continued, oblivious to my internal panic. "This is why we need to focus on real innovations, not pet projects." He looked directly at me. "Some of you waste time on theoretical threats instead of practical solutions. That ends now. Everyone needs to be focused on preparing for the Global Tech contract." After the meeting, he cornered me in my cubicle. "I need you to cancel your vacation next week. The Global Tech team is coming for preliminary discussions, and despite your limitations, you're still our best coder." "I can't," I said. "It's already booked. Family emergency." This is exactly what I'm talking about, Sophia. No leadership potential. No commitment to success. You're barely keeping up with your current projects because you waste so much time on your little research ideas. I thought about the string of promotions I've been passed over for, the countless times he dismissed my suggestions, the years of watching him promote his golf buddies while telling me I wasn't ready for advancement. "You know what?" he sneered. "Take your vacation. Maybe while you're gone, I'll find someone with real potential to replace you." That night, as I reviewed the final paperwork for the Global Tech deal, I made a decision. It was time for Nova Quantum Solutions to go public, and I knew exactly where to make the announcement. I called James. "Remember that plan we discussed about revealing everything? Let's do it." but I want to make some changes to the timeline. Are you sure? He asked. Once this starts, there's no going back. I thought about Derek's smirk, about all the other directs in tech who created their little empires of arrogance and mediocrity. I'm sure. But first, I need you to help me set up a few things. Starting with buying enough shares of TechCore to make the next board meeting. Interesting. Over the next week, I quietly put everything in place. During the day, I watched Derek parade around the office, bragging about how he was going to handle the global tech negotiations personally. At night, I prepared for a very different kind of meeting. The funny thing about people who underestimate you is how they never see you coming. They're so convinced of their own superiority that they miss all the signs, even when they're staring them in the face. Derek had no idea that his biggest client was about to become his worst nightmare, or that the barely keeping up engineer he dismissed for years was about to become his boss. The morning of the global tech meeting, TechCore's largest conference room was packed. Derek had invited every department head, eager to show off his leadership. He even called me back early from my vacation, insisting I needed to be there to answer technical questions. If he only knew. Remember, he announced to the team, let me handle the high-level discussions. You're here to support my presentation and answer specific technical questions when asked. I sat quietly in the back, dressed more formally than usual in a tailored black suit. Derek barely glanced at me, too busy adjusting his tie and rehearsing his pitch. At exactly 10 a.m., Sarah from reception led in the global tech team. I recognized Michael Chang, their CTO, from our private meetings. His eyes met mine briefly, but his professional poker face revealed nothing. Welcome to TechCore Solutions, Derek began, oozing confidence. We're excited to show you how our team can implement security for your quantum computing initiative. Michael smiled politely. Before we begin, we're actually waiting for one more person. The CEO of Nova Quantum Solutions will be joining us. After all, since you'll be implementing their technology, they should be part of this discussion. Derek's smile faltered slightly. Nova Quantum. I thought we were developing a custom solution. Oh no, Michael replied. We've already licensed Nova's quantum shield technology. It's revolutionary, years ahead of anything else in the market. Your team will be implementing their security protocols. The door opened again. Every head turned, expecting to see some Silicon Valley type in an expensive suit. Instead, I stood up from my seat in the back. Sorry for the confusion, I said calmly. I'm already here. The silence was absolute. Derek's face went through a fascinating series of expressions. Confusion, disbelief, dawning horror. Allow me to introduce myself properly, I continued, walking to the front of the room. I'm Sophia Chen, CEO of Nova Quantum Solutions and the creator of Quantum Shield technology. This is a joke, Derek sputtered. Sophia is a junior engineer. She works for me. Actually, James Wong said, walking in with a thick folder. Ms. Chen has never been junior anything. She's been running Nova Quantum while working here, building a company currently valued at just over $3 billion. Derek collapsed into a chair. $3 billion. And that's not all, James continued. Through a series of strategic investments over the past month, Nova Quantum Solutions now owns a controlling interest in TechCore. The board approved the acquisition this morning. I could practically hear Derek's world crashing down around him. The engineer he'd dismissed for years, whose ideas he'd stolen, whose potential he'd denied, was now effectively his boss. This is impossible, he whispered. No, Derek, I replied. This is what happens when you underestimate people. When you dismiss innovation because it doesn't fit your narrow vision. When you mistake quietness for weakness. Michael Chang cleared his throat. Perhaps we should focus on the technology integration. Ms. Chen, would you like to walk us through how Quantum Shield will work with our quantum computing systems? For the next 2 hours, I laid out the technical specifications that would revolutionize quantum security. The TechCore team listened in stunned silence as I explained concepts they'd never imagined, solutions to problems they didn't even know existed. Derek sat there, growing smaller by the minute, as his team realized just how much he'd held them back. After the global tech team left, I called an emergency company meeting. The entire staff crowded into the main hall, buzzing with questions and speculation. Changes are coming to TechCore, I announced. First, we're doubling our R&D budget. Every engineer will have dedicated time for innovation and research. No more dismissing ideas because they seem too theoretical. The energy in the room shifted from uncertainty to excitement. Second, we're implementing a true meritocracy. No more promotions based on golf games or happy hours. Your work and ideas will speak for themselves. I saw several women in the audience exchange meaningful looks. And finally, I turned to Derek, still shell-shocked in the front row. We're restructuring upper management. Derek, you can either stay as a regular engineer, focusing on the practical solutions you love so much, or accept a generous severance package. Your choice. He chose the severance package. The transformation of TechCore happened faster than anyone expected. Within 6 months, we doubled our client base and filed more patents than in the previous 5 years combined. The toxic culture Derek had cultivated was replaced by one of innovation and collaboration. Remember Sarah from reception? Turns out she had a master's in cybersecurity but couldn't get past the boys' club hiring practices. She now heads our threat assessment division. The quiet coder in the corner, he's revolutionizing our AI protocols. Every day, I discover talent that was just waiting for a chance to shine. Last week, I found a young engineer working late on what she called a silly idea about quantum encryption. I sat with her for 2 hours, asking questions, offering suggestions. The look of surprise and hope on her face when I approved immediate funding for her project. It reminded me of myself 4 years ago. As for Nova Quantum Solutions, we went public last month. The stock price tripled on the first day. Maya called to apologize for ever doubting my crazy plan. I sent her a gift, a framed copy of my first rejected proposal to Derek, with his dismissive comments still scrawled in the margins. She hung it in her office as inspiration for her own startup. Derek? I heard he's consulting now, though no major tech firms will touch him. His reputation for missing the quantum security revolution, for failing to recognize world-changing technology under his own roof, has become a cautionary tale in Silicon Valley. I kept his old nameplate, now displayed in Nova's museum alongside other artifacts from our journey. Under it is a quote, "Focus on real work." It reminds every visitor that innovation doesn't always come from the loudest voice in the room. The merged Nova TechCore campus is everything I dreamed of building. Our quantum security solutions protect everything from national infrastructure to private communications. But I'm most proud of our innovation lab, where engineers are free to pursue their theoretical ideas without judgment. The lab's motto: question everything, especially authority. These days, when I interview potential employees, I always ask about their useless side projects. Those are usually the ones that change the world. I still have my old cubicle nameplate too. Sometimes, late at night, when I'm working in my office, Derek's old office, I look at it and remember the quiet engineer who needed to focus on real work. Turns out she was focused on exactly the right things all along. She just needed the right moment to prove it.